This is genuinely disgusting, abhorrent behavior. You'll remember Dragon Sword, how it transitioned on over to becoming a high quality, AAA budget, overhauled, non-gacha, non-mobile, PC exclusive anime RPG. The game that has a fully functional, large-scale multiplayer aspect, allowing for numerous people to all play together. That is the spiritual successor to Dragon Nest. Yeah, that game that I've covered numerous times because of how good it looked, how fun it looked. Well, apparently, we might not be getting it. Not anymore. We were supposed to be in June. And then after this, after what WebZen did to the original developer team, yeah, this is, again, absolutely inane behavior. Korean publisher WebZen sues open world RPG developer after it one-sidedly terminates publishing deal and announces independent Steam re-release over unpaid guarantee. So I covered this over the last few months, how the original developers, Hound 13, released a game with WebZen as a publisher, how WebZen withheld payments, and then Hound 13 cut off and terminated the publishing agreement. WebZen chose not to pay Hound 13 at all, and instead issued refunds to everyone that had played the game and had made purchases. This is, again, abhorrent behavior. After this, Hound 13 decided, you know what, screw them. We're going to go ahead here and take the game to Steam, make it a non-gacha game, a PC exclusive, so no mobile cross-platform functionality whatsoever, improve the quality, and just genuinely make it a fun, worthwhile game. And then this happened. Korean publisher WebZen announced on April 21st it had filed a lawsuit against developer Hound 13 for announcing plans to independently re-release the open world action RPG Dragon Sword on Steam under the name Dragon Sword Awakening. Oh no! Oh, how dare they re-release their own game independently? Yeah, fuck WebZen, dude. I've always said they're a horrible publisher. WebZen, who originally signed a publishing deal with Hound 13 for the title, claims the latter does not have legitimate publishing rights. This comes in the aftermath of a 2-month-long dispute between the two parties. Dragon Sword was officially unveiled as a free-to-play title back in December 2022. In January 2026, the game launched in Korea with WebZen as the publisher. However, after about a month later, Hound 13 announced it would terminate its publishing contract with WebZen, citing an unpaid minimum guarantee. According to the developer, the remaining balance was left unpaid by WebZen due to Hound 13's worsening financial situation and uncertain prospects for continuing game development. So what happened here was WebZen saw that the game wasn't performing as well as they wanted it to, and they said, nope, sucks for you, we ain't gonna pay you. Which is really, really unprofessional, I think, to do. At the time, Hound 13 stated that it would keep the game services running for the following 3 months as per its contract with WebZen until it either settled for a new publisher and established the means to publish the game in-house. So 3 months. As of January, February at the latest. June is definitely 4 months away, minimum 5 months away from January, February. So I don't see them having any legal grounds to actually block them from publishing on Steam, but maybe they elaborate on that. On the same day, WebZen issued a statement of its own, arguing that Hound 13's contract termination announcement was made unilaterally without agreement from the publisher, which they don't need to agree to anyway if they're already past that 3-month period. WebZen then suspended Dragon Sword's payment functions as of the same day and promised full refunds for all in-game purchases made since launch in order to protect consumer rights. Allegedly, WebZen invested about $20 million in January 2024 to support the development of Dragon Sword, eventually acquiring publishing rights for the game. At the time, it was estimated that the game would be completed in March 2025, and the invested amount was supposed to cover operational costs for 1 year after the development period had ended. And this was a very large-scale game. So it makes sense that they didn't meet the deadline. They could have rushed it. They could have and been like, yeah, let's push this out March 2025, and then had it flop because they rushed the release. But the reality here is that they didn't do that, and they instead released a better quality version of the game than what had released. it just took a little longer to actually get out. I think like 8 months longer. Unfortunately, the development process dragged out. Hound 13 was subsequently met with financial difficulties. However, WebZen says that it continued to financially support the developer to keep the project going, even paying out a portion earlier than supposed to. As per the contract, was supposed to be paid after the game's official launch. So, I mean, good on them for that. Yo, I don't mean to interrupt the video, but I need to take a moment here to thank all my incredible patrons over on Patreon whose support continues to allow for me to do regular videos like this every single day on this channel. Thank y'all so much, including our YouTube channel members. You guys mean the world to me. So do you guys as viewers as well. Now, without further ado, let's continue. Afterwards, on March 3rd, WebZen announced that Hound 13's contract termination notice didn't fulfill the legal requirements to make it valid, which meant that the publishing deal was still effective. Additionally, the publisher also revealed that it had paid the full amount on February 27th in order to not disrupt the game's service. As pointed out by Game Mecca, while Hound 13 acknowledged the payment, they argued that it should have been paid on the date the two parties originally agreed on. This payment didn't automatically reverse the termination of the contract, and that's true. They'd already terminated the contract, and they had paid out what they were owed. So yeah, I mean, like, I'm not a lawyer here, so I can't attest to the validity of all this. I'm just speculating here, but I would say, like, based off of this, Hound 13 seems to be in the right here. The new Steam version of Dragon Sword Awakening was announced on April 10th by Hound 13 as a game separate from Dragon Sword, which had already launched as a free-to-play title in Korea. Dragon Sword Awakening would be globally distributed buy-to-play RPG, so you need to actually pay real money to play it. In response, WebZen issued another statement claiming that Hound 13's independent publishing of the game was being carried out without consultation with the original publisher. As Hound 13 does not possess the legitimate publishing rights for the game, WebZen argues that the Steam release would cause confusion to consumers, especially as refunds from the original live service version are still being processed. Therefore, in addition to filing a lawsuit to assert the validity of their publishing rights, WebZen has made a request for a preliminary injunction to suspend the release of Dragon Sword Awakening. At the time of writing, Hound 13 still has not made any statements regarding the lawsuit, and there are still many unclear points regarding the dispute between the two parties. It is yet to be seen how the lawsuit will play out and how its outcome will impact the future of Dragon Sword and Dragon Sword Awakening. Man, again, like, this is just this is disrespectful. Is disrespectful of WebZen to have not paid them when they needed it. It is disrespectful of Hound 13 to have taken the payment after everything was said and done and then still terminate the contract, I think. So I don't think either party is necessarily like a 100% in the right here. I think Hound 13 definitely could have handled this a little bit better, but in the grand scheme of things, there is definitely one party here that is much more in the wrong, and that is WebZen, because they, again, filed an injunction which is going to disrupt the Steam release of Dragon Sword Awakening. Hound 13, they terminated the contract, which meant WebZen was no longer the publisher, but at the same time, they established a new game within the IP, Dragon Sword Awakening. This is not Dragon Sword. This is an alternate version of Dragon Sword. This is not the free-to-play cross-platform gacha game. It is a buy-to-play PC exclusive game. With this in mind, since this is a different game, WebZen does not have the rights to publish it. So I'm going to assume here that this injunction isn't going to go through. I'm assuming here that this court battle is not going to go in their favor, because it just doesn't really seem like it should. But again, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm just speculating here from the perspective of someone that has a very surface level understanding of topics like this. But they are trying to thwart the success of Dragon Sword Awakening. They're trying to inhibit its ability to even launch and release. That is disgustingly petty, especially when Dragon Sword itself, the Korean version, I believe still has the ability to be online. So yeah, I mean, I've always said WebZen was a trashy company. This just further proves my point. I know you think that you just hit the end of the video, and technically, yeah, you have. And I know your first reaction is to close out of it at this juncture, but don't. No, instead, I urge you to take a moment here and click one of the videos on screen that are coming up in just a moment, so you remain up to date with everything going on in the gacha genre. Trust me, you are not going to regret doing so. Stay flaccid.